Codependency and love bombing often go hand in hand, with followers becoming overly dependent on their leader's approval and validation. This toxic loop reinforces the need for validation from the leader, leading to a harmful power dynamic within the congregation or amongst staff members. So let's explore the Cartman drama triangle. I talked about the Cartman drama triangle in previous videos. The Cartman drama triangle is a model depicting how love bombing can occur between leaders and followers. Leaders can play the rescuer role, right? Manipulating their followers with excessive affection. On the flip side, the followers may take on the victim role, seeing this love bombing as a genuine demonstration of care, which fuels the cycle of manipulation. So in order for individuals to recognize the signs of narcissistic behavior and love bombing, they need to watch for leaders putting their interest ahead of the community's well-being, and then constantly seeking validation. To combat codependency and to cultivate a healthier church environment, it's essential to encourage autonomy and establish boundaries among congregation members, staff members, and a variety of different individuals who are in these different relationship dynamics. By nurturing emotional and spiritual awareness, which I've also talked about before in previous videos, we can develop a community based on respect and authentic connection. In real situations, love bombing might occur when a pastor praises specific members excessively to keep them reliant on approval. This can create a dangerous loop where followers seek validation from the leader, reinforcing an unhealthy power dynamic. It's crucial to reflect on the impact of narcissistic behaviors. It's crucial to look at, the dynamics of love bombing in our church communities. It's important once again to recognize those signs of narcissistic behavior and to really take into consideration these elements of love bombing that can occur for manipulative purposes, and be able to recognize when that happens and how to break free from those behavioral practices. And specifically, we want to have the opportunity to dive into a tricky tactic in narcissistic spiritual abuse called love bombing. This is when leaders control their followers by showering them with excessive affection, attention, and praise. Initially, they appear positive, and it can lead to an unhealthy level of dependency and control control within the church. Imagine a pastor who constantly is praising certain members to make them feel obliged to follow their instructions. And they may tap into the 5 languages of love to love bomb individuals to the point of causing them to feel more obliged to follow their instructions. What we have to take into consideration is that it's done in such a way where there's a power and control dynamic, and it can cultivate a certain level of codependency in a relationship. For example, you have a pastor who is demanding special treatment or using their authority for personal gain. I want you to just think about that, right? Demanding special treatment, using authority for personal gain. You can see that in a variety of different relationship dynamics, whether it's in your employment situation with various managers, supervisors, or other authoritative leaders, or you can find that even in a variety of different relationships, parental relationships or romantic relationships. So, but specifically what we want to do, we want to have the opportunity to really explore what does this look like in a church setting. We can commit to building spaces that's centered on genuine, authentic love, respect, and care for everyone. We can be able to support the individual autonomy as well as the emotional intelligence that individuals need in order to cultivate a relationship that is rooted and grounded in the love of God first and foremost, a love of oneself in terms of finding the value in oneself, as well as being able to find value in others. If you remember, I talked about the cross in terms of how we relate to Christ as our center, God who we look up to, and then also to one another. We must empower congregation members. We have to empower staff members. We have to encourage one another to grow spiritually without falling victim to manipulation. When a leader in a spiritual organization prioritizes their own image over genuinely caring for their followers, it can lead to a harmful dynamic called narcissistic spiritual abuse. This means that the leader's actions are more about boosting their own ego and control rather than providing true guidance and support to their followers. This behavior can make followers feel like they're being used, that they're being undervalued, that it's an insult to their intelligence, right? But it's very important to really be able to really recognize that type of phenomenon when a person is engaging in that particular behavior, because that's a red flag of an individual not necessarily being genuine and authentic in their pursuit of spiritual leadership. And so that's when we start getting into narcissistic spiritual abuse from the pulpit. So that's what I want to bring out. That's when I want to have a conversation. What we're talking about in terms of narcissistic spiritual abuse from the pulpit, we're talking about the great identity exchange, or as I like to call it, like I mentioned before, the copycat syndrome. So when we have these individuals who are plagiarizing teachings, or they're adopting ideas and practices of other ministerial leaders, all in the pursuit of promoting their own agenda of power, of control, and authority over their followers. Now, as we reflect on the great identity exchange, where individuals must be able to identify when someone is just engaging in the copycat syndrome. That occurs sometimes in ministry circles where people are just repeating what they're hearing others say and engaging in narcissistic spiritual abuse. that just is promoting ideas that has a lack of spiritual depth. What we want to do is strive to uphold the values of authenticity, humility, and compassion in our spiritual journeys. We will need to remember that true spiritual growth comes through a genuine and authentic development of a relationship with God, not through the deceptive tactics of a narcissistic leader. And I want you to feel as if you can be able to walk out of these environments and really be able to seek God for yourself and actually search for a ministry, search for a leader who is genuine and authentic and humble and really has a hunger and thirst for God and really has a heart for the people, not to control them, not to manipulate them, not to utilize the demonstration of the fruit of the Spirit for manipulative purposes, but for the empowerment of the community or the people in such a way where they are supporting these individuals and being great in God. So in the Bible, we are reminded in 1 Peter 5, 2 through 3, that ministry leaders should be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, watching over them, not because you must, but because you are willing as God wants you to be. This verse urges spiritual leaders to act with humility and genuine care for their followers rather than seeking personal gain or power. When a leader in a spiritual organization prioritizes their own image over genuinely caring for their followers, it can lead to a harmful dynamic called narcissistic spiritual abuse. This means that the leader's actions are more about boosting their own ego and control rather than providing true guidance and support to their followers. This behavior can make followers feel like they're being used, that they're being undervalued, that it's an insult to their intelligence, right? This behavior not only highlights their lack of originality, especially when you're like word for word copying a sermon, right? But also their manipulative tactics to draw you in so that you could get all excited about it and then manipulate the masses.